We're here at the Tricky Triangle in Long Pond, Pennsylvania for round number 5 of the Dodge Viper Cup. Remember, the first 4 rounds were all contested in heat that was over 100 degrees ambient. Here, it's much more clement, around 70 degrees. The drivers are going to like the cockpit temperatures. The Viper engines are going to like the cool air. We might set a speed record for the ACRX. This is Dodge Viper Cup.
Welcome everybody to an absolutely glorious, slightly cool day here at the Tricky Triangle. I'm Greg Creamer. You've already met Tom Natchew. Practice and qualifying have shown us this should be a great weekend of racing, so let's get right to it. In round 5, on the front row, it is the points leaders, Ben Keating and points leader Ryan Schimsk. Row number 2, one of our guest drivers, Bucky Lasik and Eric Galern. Row number 3 will be Jim Stout and our other guest driver, Alan Johnson of NHRA fame. Row number 4 will be Connie Bogan and David Mazak. And then a couple of drivers at the back of the pack had problems in qualifying. Michael Von Quillick, he actually did not pass tech. And then Keith Verges, one of the quick drivers certainly, had a problem with the transmission, did not even get a chance to take a lap, but he has made the field. Oh, and Von Quillick jumps big time, but got it stopped, and then the lights go out. We are green for round number 5, but Von Quillick is going to lose a lot of momentum, and here we go. Keating looked to get a pretty good start, but Ryan Schimsk, no, he's going to tuck right into second, Tom.
Now, you talk about momentum for Von Quillick. He's going to have a lot more of it because he's coming in. Probably the thing to do when you're red light in one of these standing start things is to just keep going because you know you're coming in. So he's got a tough road to hoe for the rest of the day.
Meanwhile, Keating leads it, but Schimsk trying to carry speed up and around that high line, and Galern tucks right into third. We hop on board with Verges, and we haven't even gotten to the second turn, Tom, and he is already knocking on the door of the top 5.
Keith Verges definitely motivated, definitely had a plan to get up through this standing start. This is as slow as they're going to go on this course all day in turn number 3. And as they go through there, things begin to change. You know, this is the first time both of these guys have experienced this, and look at what's going on up front.
Oh, Keating ran just a little wide, dropped that right rear, and Schimsk jumped up alongside, and they are still alongside. They're heading down into the S's. This should give Schimsk the inside here, and it does, but he gets squeezed just a little bit into the dirt. Looks like he's got it going, a twitch, and here comes Keating right back up alongside. They are still absolutely door handle to door handle into a very tricky corner, and it's a key one leading up onto the banking, and Schimsk is wide, and he is off. He's saved it, but traffic is coming, and Jim Stout just clips the front end. Look at that plume that he has raised up with the debris on the track, and Alan Johnson going,
I don't think I've ever seen that before from Alan Johnson. He wants no part of any of that. He tiptoes through, and Ryan Schimsk in the 67 car gets going again. There's damage on the right front that's going to affect his aero a bit, Greg.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it got any deeper than that. Gives you an idea of just how well built and stable these ACRX chassis are, and he is going to be able to continue. But we do have, it looks like we may be seeing a caution here. That is Keating, and Verges, though, into second already. We hop on board with Galern, who now is sitting in third and probably amazed that Verges, who we knew started at the back, is through.
All 3 of these guys are guys we saw at VIR at rounds number 1 and 2 and knew that they would be players in the championship. But with such a different track, such a different atmosphere, it looks like the cream has risen to the top once again. And remember, Ryan Schimsk, the youngster, was right in there at the very beginning, and that was a game of literally millimeters, Greg.
Oh, it was some great racing, and then he just overcooked it a little bit into the turn, but certainly showing some good aggression early in the going. Here is Keating, and now he's got some time to think about it here with that caution coming out, but he now knows he is going to be in for a battle.
Yeah, he's kind of in the catbird seat as we look from Bucky Lasik's point of view. Kind of a funky skateboard angle off the rear wing there. I like that angle as we look forward to Keating. Now Keating has got a rolling start happening, a whole completely different thing from the standing start. It's a change in strategy once again, Greg.
And that skateboard angle somewhat fitting for Lasik, as he's an X Games multi-time gold medal winner in that very category of skateboarding. So one thing we know, he ain't gonna scare easy.
Listen, I know who Bucky Lasik is, dude.
Well, I know you know.
Well, my sun tool.
Exactly.
He's a big deal in the skateboard world. He really is, and right up there in the legacy of skateboarding in North America. Thrilled to have him here. Is that a sight we haven't seen yet, Greg? There's that beautiful pace car from Dodge.
Dodge Challenger on the prowl out there, and here is your current lineup very early in the going. We'll be back.
With so much racing going on in the world, you'd have to be a four-headed monster to keep up with it all. Luckily, we have that. Join Peter Keane, Bill Wood, Errol Tucker, and their guest driver analyst each week for an opinionated look at the news coming out of the racing world. Remember, it's GoRacingTV.com for all your racing and video needs.
One of the most beautiful settings you can imagine, the Pocono Mountains, the Tricky Triangle, one of the most challenging of tracks, and the Dodge Viper, one of the most exciting of cars, and it is all going to be shattered, this peaceful calm, because all of these big V10s about to be unleashed. The lights out in the Dodge Challenger pace car, and Ben Keating going to be bringing him around, but this time he's got a very aggressive Keith Verges on his 6.
Yeah, not only Keith Verges having a great day, but Michael Von Quillick just dodged a big bullet by having that whole exchange happen under yellow. So now he's got a chance to go from the back of the pack, but this is a whole new dynamic, Greg. It's the first rolling restart on this big track, and the first time that they're actually out there on not quite hot tires.
And take a look there, Verges right away, going down low, trying to make something happen. If nothing else, ooh, a little wiggle by Verges, so he is definitely on the edge, trying to rattle Keating just a little bit. And there you have a look behind him at Eric Galern in that beautiful green Viper, currently sitting in 3rd. It's been a busy time for him with the goings-on in the Gulf and the role he's been playing there.
Missed him for a couple of rounds because he's one of those great Americans who's actually cleaning things up down there, and he's been busy full-time 7 days a week, so hats off to Eric Galern, but you know what? We're glad to have him back.
Absolutely we are, and he's glad to be racing, and Keating runs just a little bit wide there, and here's an opportunity for Verges. Verges takes a look, but he's on the wrong side of the track as they head into that right-hander. So at this stage now, he just tucks right back in behind Keating, and he and Verges now are going to go through this next series of corners. The S's, these are very key. You've got to get through them clean because it sets you up that turn 8 that leads you back up onto the banking, and you've got to carry every bit of momentum you can. There's Galern, chased hard by Bucky Lasik, and Galern going to make his way up and onto the track. And one of the interesting things here is we asked Mr. Galern a little bit earlier to explain his road to the Cup.
It's about 5 years ago I got involved with SCCA Racing and in a spec series car. And then I bought a 97 Viper GTS that I raced in GT1. And I did that for a couple of years. And when I found about the ACRX coming out, I said, hey, this is a natural racing machine. It's got great acceleration, set up properly, it handles the turns beautifully. And when you wheel a wheel, there's nothing like it. Well, I think the combined straightaways, we got 3,000 feet here and 4,000 on the back straightaway with the turn in between. So, I mean, we're doing 160, 165 coming into that turn. It's not as banked as, say, Daytona, which has a stiffer bank, but it's plenty banked for trying to hold that speed and coming out on exit. So we had the standard chassis set up, and it was real bumpy going through the turn, almost uncontrollable. So we made some changes yesterday throughout the day and this morning, and today it's straightened itself out, and it's very controllable through that turn at high speed. I'm very excited. That's all I was thinking about when we were killing that well is racing here. So I've got a bunch of college buddies that are coming down from Boston University from years ago. So they're all going to watch me race this weekend, and it's going to be a great time.
So he's got a cheering section on hand as well. That always makes it very, very special. And it was interesting to hear what he was saying about this track and the fact that it is bumpy in spots, even up on these smooth, high banks. And it's an interesting layout, isn't it, Tom, where you've got, you're using basically half of this massive speedway, and then you cut it off and you go into some incredibly twisty bits. And Bucky Lasik, did he get a run coming out of that first turn? He's got the inside down into the tunnel turn, and he is through Very impressive. And Eric Gillerin, well, now he just watches Bucky disappear into the distance a little bit. This Bucky Lasik is impressive on 4 wheels, not just with a board nailed to his feet.
Well,
oh, and look at that move as well. Sorry, but Schimsk on the comeback just knifed underneath, and as Gillerin just kind of laid out in the wide end for just a minute, Schimsk said, that'll do.
Eric Gillerin didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming. Look at Ryan Schimsk battling his way back. The tires are up to temperature now. They had that opportunity to run through the infield before they went out onto the banking. Remember, during practice and qualifying, these guys have been doing long runs. They've been expecting these Vipers to hang onto the track the way that they've been driving them all weekend. They haven't had an opportunity until now to see what they'll do when they really hang them out in a race. This is going to get better.
And what's impressive for Schimsk is with that big gaping hole in the bodywork in the right front corner. I mean, that's just going to be packing up air. Can't be helping him very much in terms of his aero. But boy, is he getting through the twisty bits great and making up for a little bit. But look at Gillerin close up, and that's just, look at that move by Gillerin. And that has got to be because that aero is just stalling him out just a little bit, Schimsk, and that just allowed Gillerin to drive on by.
Either that or Gillerin just said, I can't believe you just snookered me on the way into the infield. I'm just going to drive this thing in here and see if it sticks. And you know what? It sticks. Amazing performance out of these Dodge Viper Cup cars.
Yeah, Gillerin mentioned the banking not as steep as some big ovals like this, but it is certainly enough, and it makes it work. But now comes Schimsk again, right down and underneath, almost a mirror copy of what he did last lap, and being able to draft a little bit with that bodywork. You get up behind that car, suddenly that issue's not so bad. He popped out a beautiful late braking move again.
And now Gillerin is just annoyed. And Jim Stout is there too. He wants a piece of this. Great battle as the leaders have kind of pulled out just a little bit. This is a great battle on the track right now.
It's fantastic. These guys, it's just absolutely cut and thrust and taking advantage of that. You just saw that white flash of Bucky Lasik as he has just driven away a little bit. And that's exactly what he wants at this point, to have a little bit of breathing room, because these guys, you can tell they are now in full race mode. That pass, repass, the adrenaline's there. They are dialed it up. So it is going to be getting even better when we come back.
Hi there, I'm Tom Natchu, and this is Greg Kramer. We're called the old bastards of racing in many circles. You know, I guess we met back in the late 1980s.
Easy. It had to be at least that far back. Glory day of some racing, too.
Oh, absolutely. Trans Am was a part of the picture, and actually I learned to do pro announcing from this man around the Trans Am Championship. Oh, that is a long time ago.
A very long time ago, but I'll tell you what, you take a look at Trans Am racing in the early 90s in particular, the names that were running at that time. But the other side of the story was World Challenge was really starting to come alive at that point. And the names in that, there were sometimes you'd look at the two rosters and go, you know, I'm not sure which one is the most talent. Some amazing stuff from those decades past, and of course a lot of those drivers also doubling up, running amateur racing in the runoffs, and it was spectacular stuff.
Now, Go Racing TV has got all of that action, Trans Am World Challenge, and even some runoff material, all coming up over the next season. That's going to be something to watch.
I know, to be able to relive those 2 decades of motorsports from the Sports Car Club of America's Pro Racing Department, Trans Am World Challenge, and then you include the National Amateur Championships, the runoff, the intense battles that unfolded there. It simply doesn't get any better than that, and it lives again right here on GoRacingTV.com.
Because I need to spend more time in front of my computer.
Art museums are nice, but you know what? Nature's art is very special indeed. Certainly up here in the Pocono Mountains, where also the Tricky Triangle is located, and we are back to action in round 5 of the Dodge Viper Cup. There's a good look at Bucky Lasik, the skateboarding specialist, but he's mentioned, as we said earlier, that he has done a little bit of road racing in his career, but nothing like the Dodge Viper Cup, so we asked him, how does it compare?
I'd have to say this is the best driving experience to date right now. Driving the ACRX, doing top speeds over 160 on a very fast track. New car, new track to me. So it's very humbling. Well, I've been skateboarding for about 27 years, been pro for about 20 years almost. So I've been around for a while, and I don't plan on going anywhere. Well, I used to be into actually car stereos, and I actually wrapped my car around a tree And from that point on, I decided I'd put the money in the suspension. I did a celebrity race in 2005 at the Long Beach Grand Prix, and that was my first race that I ever raced in, and I won the celebrity portion of the race. And from there, I started taking racing a little bit more seriously. I think my strategy for the weekend is basically to stay clean, return a nice, beautiful Dodge Viper back to Lux Racing, practice safe and practical etiquette, racing etiquette, and, you know, be fast. It's a shot in the dark to say that I'm here to win, but I'm here to drive the best I can and maybe a top 5.
I gotta tell you, Greg, I'm knocked out by this guy. He seems so calm, so cool. Let's face it, a celebrity race at the Long Beach Grand Prix is more an exercise in calamity than racing. So he really doesn't have any experience.
Oh! Well, as we're talking about it, Tom, he just gets in a little bit hot. He's gonna come right back on in front, nudges that barrier over there, but fortunately, when the first hit was into those tires, and then he just pancaked it fairly smoothly on that side. As he comes around here, we'll see if he's got any damage on the car.
Oh, that'll buff right out.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little scuff in the back. Yeah, Cindy and Fred can take care of that, no problem. And Bucky back at it. But once again, dirt, debris, some tires on the racing surface, so the Dodge Challenger pace car comes out onto the track. But you know, one thing about Bucky talking about the racing etiquette and the like, as we hop on board for a look at this replay, Tom.
Well, there, Bucky just, as you said, absolutely overcooked it, and now he's dealing with a cockpit full of elbows and knees as he tries to do something. Bucky never quits trying to steer that thing, but unfortunately, the thing that stopped him was made of Armco. But didn't hit it hard, gathered it up, and didn't lose that much position as he comes out of this thing. We'll count back to Bucky. He's still certainly got a place in the top 5 if he really wants it bad enough.
Yeah, he just has to really hustle that car right now and see what he could do. Very quick caution. The workers here doing a nice job of getting that cleaned up.
Well, they're getting used to it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They're getting practice. The pace car is in, and we are going to go back at it again. We are green. Von Quillick way down to the inside. As you can see, we hop on board with Connie Bogan, currently running in the 9th spot as they come whistling down. And again, Verges all over the back of Keating on this long, long run now through this first turn. And then the even longer run up into the tunnel turn. We're on board with Schimsk, and he has got a great view.
Not that great a view in terms of his camera position. He definitely hit something hard. But you see how fast these cars are getting up to speed again. These Michelins are ready. The tires are hot. The yellow is brief. Now we're racing tricky triangle style.
On board with Keating at ViperExchange.com machine. Floats it out to the wall, then gets it straight, then onto the brakes. And that is a delicate little ballet you've got to do right there as you're coming through that turn, but he runs it wide, drops that tire again, and Verges is going to be looking at that going, well, you know, maybe he's a little susceptible to some pressure here. If I can get close enough, maybe I can make something happen.
Verges has been one of the most creative drivers today of trying different spots on the banking, and now the 32 car slows up in a big hurry, and not only Verges, Schimsk is alongside.
Yeah, he just got in a little hot again. The car skated, and Verges wasted no time in another wiggle, and that is just going to be enough. Schimsk's going to be able to make it stick. He's planted on the outside, sweeping. This is where Schimsk spun before, and this time no problems at all, but they are still side by each as we get back onto the banking of the tricky triangle, and Schimsk says, all right, tuck in, get a tow.
I am just absolutely jonesing on the combination of this high bank racing and that infield where all these guys are relative experts compared to what they're doing out here. Dynamically, this race changes lap to lap.
Well, that's the amazing thing about it, isn't it? The two different elements of this track, and right now it's Ben Keating hanging on in the front.
The club, an amateur racer. Here at Go Racing TV, we salute you. And we want to give you all the tools and info to compete with the best. Find out how to do it all from your own garage by watching our Club Racer and Autocrosser shows. GoRacingTV.com, supplying all your video racing needs.
From a videographer's angle, this area is what you would call target rich. That is spectacular. We're back, everybody, and we are back to Green Flag Racing here for round number 5 of the Dodge Viper Cup. And out front, it is Keith Verges, and he's gone around Keating, as you saw that right before we went to break. Keating slots into second, but Keating under immense pressure from Schimsk at this point. Draws away just a little bit at that point of the banking. But right about here, Schimsk starts to claw it back as they make this long launch down this back straight. And folks, the sound here is spectacular. We're just going to lay out for a sec. Enjoy this. These big displacement V10s. It's an amazing sound as we hop on board with Keating. And watch this now as he's got to get it woed down. And he's giving himself some room to that outside barrier there, isn't he, Tom?
You know, Ben Keating's tried every different line through here, but he's a little bit loose on his setup. And obviously, he's working great on the banking, but as he gets into the infield, I've noticed he's just a little bit loose, and he's trying stuff. He's just like any champion racer. He's out there with a car that's constantly changing. He's trying stuff.
Well, it's like you're driving two different tracks here. You got that half that is just the high-speed oval section, and then you've got this very twisty infield section. So do they have to set it up? Do they have to look for some sort of compromise in the setup, or you just go for the fast section and then hang on through this?
I'll tell you, that's what the garage area's been buzzing about all weekend long. How do you set up a Dodge Viper Cup car for a track like this? As we see the white flag, we're seeing all of these performance that these Vipers can deliver right now in the last lap.
This is it. Game on, and Verges has himself a little bit of a margin, and there's Keating's view. That's where he's got to get if he wants to pull this one out, and he's got to find something here because Verges has been very impressive from the get-go. Remember, folks, he started dead last, came up through the pack, and then has been in the wars with these guys along with Schimsk. And so right now, Verges just looking to hang on, and Keating trying to figure out where can I make up a bit of a chunk of time here. Here they go through that turn, and look at that speedometer. They're pushing 160 miles an hour before they get to that tunnel turn. Spectacular.
To answer your question, where is Keating going to try to make it up? He's going to do it in the infield because this is where he's comfortable. Get ready for a show, folks.
There's Verges, there's Keating, and that beautiful red, white, and blue Viper right behind Verges, trying to get even closer still into the S's one last time here for round 5. And Verges, he just has to hit his marks, not make the mistake. If he can do that, he should be in pretty good shape here. But Keating has closed it up. He has taken away some of that margin. Now, turn 8. This is where everybody has had their issues. Very tricky corner, but up onto the banking. Verges gets it straightened out, drops the hammer. Keating carrying a lot of speed, but it's not enough. And the checker flies, and Verges brings it home. But Keating ate up a bunch of that margin. What a great finish by Keating. Schimsk will complete the podium. What a run.
I'm starting to fall head over heels in love with this series. Look at Ryan Schimsk with a damaged front end. You'd think he's got no arrow. How's he going to run a track like this? He ends up in 3rd place. Eric Allern in the 4th spot. Jim Stout, always Stout, he's in 5th.
Absolutely incredible. And now, as we take a look at the point standings after round 5, Schimsk continues in the lead. Keating, Stout, Verges, and Von Quillick complete your top 5 as we take a look at the rest of the lineup at this stage. And everybody enjoying this cool down lap, but let's get down to Victory Circle.
Straight in? Straight on him, okay? Up here, good. I'm just ecstatic. A little bit of good luck, a little bit of shenanigans in front of me, and my crew, I just can't say enough about them. We had a clutch failure in the first session today. They had the transmission out twice. They got me a great clutch, a great driving car, and it was fantastic.
Unfortunately, I mean, the good news is I ran a great race. The ViperExchange.com Viper handled beautifully. I had worked up a decent lead. I got the pole. I'm really happy with everything. A little NASCAR yellow got me. I went green again, and I think my front tires were a little cold, and I pushed through one of the turns, and Keith got by me.
Yeah, there's a little bit of contact in the first lap. Ended up getting spun out in the final turn, and you know, luckily we had a few choice yellows throughout the race that got us back up towards the front. It really, the yellows played a big role in our finish today. Kind of disappointed, but tomorrow's another race, and we'll go from there.
It is another race coming up. There's a great celebration, a look at your podium, and what a race it was. And the nice thing is they get to come back here and do it again. And of course, for Keith Verges, there's one more little piece of business to attend to because those tires are used up anyway, so why not?
Oh, you know, Michelin loves this as much as Keith Verges does. He's going to light him up on this tricky triangle in Pennsylvania. There it is, round number 5 wrapped up. I can't wait for round number 6.